I want to talk to you about something that's real. And a lot of people have suffered with this. A lot of people go through this challenge. And unfortunately, they find themselves going down this path and they can't find their way back out. And what I'm talking about is mental health challenges. See, a lot of people are suffering in silence, and I don't want that to be you. And I know this isn't a topic that you might not want to hear right now, but it's something that's real for all of us. We all go through some form of downtime and down energy and low energy and depression and extreme periods of sadness, and we have to find our ways out of this. And so I want to talk to you about 4 or 5 things that I do to kind of help me get out of these down times, and maybe they'll help you as well. All right, let's talk about that coming up next. You're listening to the Grind and Gratitude Show. So what's going on? My name is Danny Stone, also known as Coach Stone, is in the building. If you don't know who I am, I help hero entrepreneurs make more income, impact, and influence by learning how to speak so they can attract their ideal customers. And recently, I was on a national TV program here in Toronto, Canada. That's where I am based, but I work all over the world. And I was on this morning TV show called CP24. And June is Men's Health Awareness Month in Canada. So they had me come on and talk about mental health for men and boys. And it was only a 4.5 minute segment, but after that segment, I got so many messages. I was getting messages from boys and men and even women all over the world. People were hitting me up from all across Canada, the United States, Dubai, Kenya, Nigeria, the UK. So many people saw that episode and in that segment, I should say. And so I decided that I wanted to kind of dive a little bit deeper into the tips that I shared in that segment. And I'll put the link below. So if you want to go back and you want to watch that previous segment that I did, you can watch that. And if you're listening here on any of your favorite platforms, podcast platforms, I'll put the link in the show notes as well. So mental health is a real thing. And maybe I don't have to tell you that. Maybe you've had your challenges with mental health. Maybe you've had some times where you were depressed. Maybe you've had some extended periods of time where you were just really low energy and couldn't find yourself out. Maybe you have had some other types of really mental challenges where you were struggling to even get out of bed or to go to work or to get up and take action on your business. And I can definitely relate. I've had this roller coaster of challenges over the course of my life. And there are times where I just had to unplug and step back and really just take care of my mindset, my mental health, my wellness. And for a lot of people, they struggle with that and they don't know how to bounce back. And so recently when I was on this CP24, which is this national morning show in Canada, I shared some tips because I feel like, especially with men and boys, there is this stigma around being vulnerable. There's a stigma around sharing your feelings. There's a stigma around asking for help when you're not at your best. And it's something that is kind of instilled in us when we are young boys. Like when you were young and you fell down, if you're a boy, what did your parents usually say? Oh, get up, dust yourself off. Don't cry. You'll be all right. But if a little girl fell down, what would happen? The parents would usually run over to her and say, oh, are you okay? It's okay. You can cry. I'm here. So you see the difference, right? And so for me, I can definitely relate. Growing up as a young boy, it wasn't something that my mother meant to do. It was just something that was a norm. When a boy fell down or when a boy hurt himself, our parents would just say, get up, dust yourself off, don't cry. And it was really innocent, but our parents didn't realize that might have affected us over the course of our life. because a lot of us are no longer young boys. We are men, or older boys, or we're into, our teenage years. And what happens is we lock that in the back of our mind. And what it does is it becomes a block for us to express our emotions. It holds us captive because we still remember, how society really told us to be as boys. We're supposed to be tough. We're not supposed to show emotions. We're not supposed to cry. We're not supposed to talk about feelings. And so many of us have carried that forward. And it's really unfortunate because as men and boys, we're just starting to break that stigma. And when you have people like Justin Bieber and other celebrities coming out, Idris Elba talking about mental health, then that opens it up and allows us to tap into our emotions and to be more vulnerable and to ask for help. But there's still a big stigma around that. So I want to share a couple of tips that I implement into my life to help me in my low energy times, or to help me when I'm feeling down. And I share these with a lot of my coaching clients and a lot of my students as well. So the first tip that I want to share with you is this. I want you to acknowledge and understand when you are in a downtime. I want you to feel your emotions, and I want you to acknowledge when you're not at your best. See, a lot of us just want to push through, right? When we're not feeling at our best mentally, we just push through it all the time. And what happens is we learn to suppress our emotions, and we learn to suppress our feelings. And that's not healthy, because later on it comes out in a way that maybe we have no control of. So the first step is to acknowledge your feelings. And it's okay to say, look, I'm not at my best. It's okay to acknowledge that maybe you're depressed or you're sad. So acknowledge your feelings. Don't try to push through all the time. That's the first step. The second thing that we can do is to get active. For me, when I'm feeling down, and recently that happened to me, I just had so many things going on with my business and speaking and coaching and teaching and consulting and running this podcast and, serving my Champion You community, and then dealing with my family stuff and all of these things. I just felt like there was just so much going on. And what I had to do was I had to acknowledge how I was feeling. And then the next thing that I had to do was exercise. Getting active is so good for you mentally and physically. There are so many benefits to getting active. And I like to get out into nature, go for a walk or a hike or a bike ride, or get to the gym and exercise. Because when you exercise, you release these endorphins, and these endorphins are the things that make you feel good about yourself. And there's nothing like, breaking a sweat and feeling like that sense of accomplishment after that bike ride, that hike, that workout at the gym. And so getting active and changing your state is one of the best things you can do when you're feeling down or low energy or you're depressed. So get out, get into nature, go for a walk, play a sport, go for a bike ride, get to the gym. Do something active that is going to get your heart rate up, and it's going to help you to release those endorphins, those things that make you feel good about yourself, and you'll feel good because you've accomplished something that day. So that's the second thing that I do and that I recommend other people do. The third thing that I recommend people do is to listen to something positive. Jump online and watch a motivational video. Listen to a podcast. Read an affirmation. Do something that's going to inject some positivity into you. And I find like when I'm down, if I watch somebody who's motivational, I watch, T.D. Jakes or Tony Robbins or Les Brown or Lisa Nichols or Eric the Hip Hop Preacher. I watch somebody positive. That energy just gets into me. But if you want to take it to another step further, find some really positive affirmations. And what you're going to do is you're going to record yourself reading them to yourself. So read that affirmation to yourself, and you can either audio record it or you can video record it and you can play it back to yourself in those downtimes. That is so powerful. Like me watching myself say to myself in those up times, you record this video, this affirmation, you say, look, Danny, you got this. You're amazing. You're smart. You're talented. You're gifted. There's nothing that can stop you. Your hopes and your dreams are possible. You're amazing. You have a champion inside of you. And I record that and I play it back to myself on those down times, and I'm watching me say this to me. That is so powerful. So on those days when you're feeling really great about yourself, go online or find an affirmation or come up with a statement or something really powerful and positive that you can say to yourself and record it and play it back. Or you can just go and you can watch somebody else, some other motivational video. But we need those words of affirmation. We need those powerful, positive words when we're not at our best. So that's the third tip. The fourth tip that I would recommend, and this is like, I always tell people this, like, if you find yourself depressed, if you find yourself even having suicidal thoughts, if you find yourself in this really deep, dark place, reach out to a professional. Reach out to a professional. There is no stigma, there's no shame to reach out for help. It takes a lot of strength to ask for help. Like, strong people ask for help. So this whole idea of you being weak because you're asking for help is not true. It actually takes a lot of strength and courage and bravery to ask for help. So if you need it, if you find yourself struggling and you can't get out of this funk or this groove, reach out to a 1-800 number in your area, a helpline. Please reach out for help. Don't think that it's weak. And a lot of these helplines are anonymous, so you can call a helpline or reach out to a professional if you need that help. And if you don't want to do that, then reach out to somebody that you trust and say, look, I'm going through a tough time right now. I just need to talk. I need to speak to somebody. I'm really depressed. I'm sad. I'm in this low energy state for it's been a week or 2 weeks and I can't get out of it. This is how I'm feeling. I just need you to listen to me. So if you don't want to reach out for professional help, which I recommend you do, if you're depressed, if you're suicidal, if you're really struggling emotionally, reach out to somebody that you trust. You are not weak. Ask for help, please. I believe that you have a champion inside of you. You have greatness. You have so much more potential. And sometimes it's difficult to see that when you're struggling with your mental health. But don't quit. Don't give up on your dreams. Your dreams are possible. Do these things when you're feeling down, and I know that they will help you. But don't suffer in silence. Please don't suffer in silence. I know that there's so much that you can do in this world, and I know sometimes when you're struggling, you don't believe it. And there have been times where I didn't believe it. But I know, Coach Stone knows, that you have so much more to do in this world. So I just wanted to share this with you. These are some of the tips that I shared on this TV segment. These are things that I honestly believe. I'm not just saying these things. These are things that I honestly do. I'm not just saying these things. These are things that I tell my coaching clients and my students. So these are things that I live by. There's so many more things we can do, but I just wanted to keep it simple with these 4 things that you can do when you're not feeling at your best, when your energy is low, when you're having mental health challenges. So please let me know if this was helpful. Leave a comment if you're watching here on YouTube, or please send me a DM on Instagram at I am Danny Stone. And if you're loving this episode, please go ahead and like it and subscribe here on YouTube or on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. Thank you so much for being my co-host. I really, really appreciate you. And I'll catch you in the next episode. Take care.